Indeed, yes, he's probably the most relaxed skier you'll see. Always working on his technique, realizes that it is all important for success in these races.
So it's still out.
Is still there. So 23 is not too young by any means.
Well, Jan Ottersen, the last man to start, is on his way. So the whole field is on its way as Kurvisniemi, and starting very conservatively. 22nd place, but don't write him off. He'll accelerate through this. Now, the first sight that we've had of Vegard Ulvang, the defending World Cup champion of last season. He won the title, but he never won a race. 5 times a runner-up, a master of consistency, but he loved to win. Nicknamed Vegard the Viking. Smirnov for Russia. Coming round to the Czech. Albertello still that very good time. He's really gone off and found his rhythm early. And Smirnov, my goodness, he's a big man.
That's right, very, very powerful skier. Wearing the yellow bib, as you can see, it's something that's been taken on from the cycling events where the leader of the series or the World Cup wears the yellow bib.
But as Smirnov goes through, it's still Albertello in the lead as Ottersen comes up to the first check. Morgren, Maybach, all up there. And Ottersen, and he's equal. So it's equal at the early part of this race between Jan Ottersen, the 30-year-old from Asana, and Albertello, the 30-year-old from Courmayeur. But there's still only 10 seconds. It's a pity that the loops are so big because it's not too much fun for the spectators.
Well, spectator values decreased, but you can't afford to have too many athletes on the track at the same time.
Eriksson down nicely in the aerodynamic tuck. Just as important for the Nordic racers as it is for the Alpine skiers.
That's right, and they wear this skin-tight lycra clothing, which also reduces air resistance. And incidentally, that's probably all they've got on, other than a leafer top or some form of thermal underwear.
Eriksson, and he's easily going to take the lead from Sivertsen now, who's led for so much. Comes through the 8.3 kilometer, and look at that, he's 32 seconds up. But again, there are plenty of fast men behind him. Ulvang, Smirnov, Mogren and Maybach, I should say, his own teammates. Albertello was the quickest to 1.9 and will be there or thereabouts on Eriksson's tail for the 8.3 check. Quite interesting today, as you said, the snow temperature pretty good. And what sort of wax will they have chosen under these conditions?
Well, they're looking for a wax that is just slightly softer than the snow crystals are, so they get a little bit of stick when they push the ski down. And so I expect that they're in the range of blue waxes at the moment, the green being for the very coldest conditions, and I would expect they're at the top end of the blue range.
15 seconds the advantage Albertello has, and looking good as he descends, drops down, takes a little drink there from his coach.
That's right. Well, he's got another over 15 kilometers to go, and keeping yourself hydrated is very important, so they'll probably take 2 to 3 drinks on the way round.
And Smirnov, that was in the yellow bib, absolutely flying round that bend, coming up to the check. It'll be quite interesting to see here because he started number 97, and there's Ulvang, the defending world champion, who started 30 seconds ahead, and my goodness, he's taken that out of him already.
Well, that's right. It's great advantage to get up behind someone of Ulvang's quality, and I expect he'll sit behind Ulvang and use his technique to take him along for a bit. Smirnov will get some rest from this, both physically and psychologically, and then he'll go past, most likely at the top of a hill, when Ulvang's tired.
Well, there he goes, perhaps a little quicker than any of us expected, or maybe Ulvang wasn't going to have any of that. But it's Albertello who holds the lead. He's just over a second and a half clear of Smirnov, with Morgren He's not too far away from Sweden. Then Eriksson, and Meyerback gives Sweden 3 in the first 6, and that's pretty good. But Albertville and Desault, 2 Italians in there as well. That will be very encouraging for them. And here on these fast descent turns.
Yeah, well, this is one of the most technical stages of the course. Very, very tight downhills, sharp corners. We've already said that the downhill technique is the same as in Alpine, but because only your toe is attached to the ski, only the toe of the shoe is attached, you therefore have much less control over the ski. You'll see them trying to step round the corner as opposed to carving the turn. There we go.
Absolutely vital, though, that they carry as much speed as they can, because there's this downhill gradient as they go out of the stadium, and if they can carry that on, they really can gain some advantage. But the other interesting thing on this course really is that there's not too much chance to rest.
Well, that's it. It's short uphills, fast technical downhills, which also sap your energy, but there's very little flat where the athlete can get into a rhythm and rest.
Eriksson approaching the 15-kilometer check, and a perfect example there. Straight out of the stadium, uphill, then a little down, and now he's going up again, chasing Kusisto's time. And just a few meters to the blue line. Still got a good rhythm, the 31-year-old from Borlänge. Gold medalist at 30K in 1982. But he was only 33rd in the World Cup last year, just got points in the opening race. But not a bad start to this season. He's got to the front at the moment. He was 6th in the opening race, Eriksson, and then 3rd at Davos. So that's good World Cup points, and a better start to his campaign than he's had for a while.
That's right. It'd be interesting to see if he can maintain this success rate throughout the season. Of course, with 10 races or more, it's hard to maintain a peak condition all the way through.
Indeed, because we're talking about a competition which won't, in fact, come to its final round until March.
Well, that's very true. You won't find an athlete being able to maintain a peak for the 4-5 month period. It's just not possible. But the top guys will keep at a very high level. And Eriksson's, with his enormous experience, should be able to do that.
Albertville, another man who's going well in these early rounds of the World Cup. He was 4th in Tauplitz in Austria over the pursuit, and he was 2nd in Davos, and really taking advantage of this early season form, and he's quick at the moment. Here he is, the man at the back here wearing bib number 79. Striding up the hill, Meyerback, good long stride.
Yeah, it's nice to see, really using the skis. He's getting a lot of glide on each phase of the technique.
And this must be lovely to have these conditions. No wind, nice warm temperature, good snow temperature.
Well, I know they didn't see a lot of this last year, and they'll be very happy to have conditions like this. It also makes a much fairer race. Last year we had dreadful conditions and a lot of resorts where there was no snow, and your start position was all important. But now we have a fair race and perfect conditions.
Desault of Italy, Eriksson in 2nd place. Remember, Albertville, Desault's teammate, is still in the lead. And Desault, well, he's some way off the pace, but he's still well up in points. Double sticking round here, just to keep the momentum going, and then he'll get a little bit of downhill. Take him out around again.
Desault's always been best at the longer events, and already mentioned the 50-kilometer in the World Championships in '87.
Well, Morgren's certainly got some speed here. Hardly a step round there, well, 1 or 2, but he really is powering his way. Now, Alberello's got the lead, and Morgren's challenging for it. There won't be too much between these men. Very fluent, very relaxed.
Yeah, that's lovely to see. You saw on the downhill there how little deceleration he suffered on the way around that sharp bend. That's sort of superior downhill technique to the other skiers. And looking easy.
Alberello, who's been out in front at 1.9 and 8.3, finding that the field is definitely closing on him now. But Morgan, is he going to get there in time? Just a little look out to his left there. Coaches all along and strategically placed around the course there to keep their racers advised, to give them refreshment. Still got to come round this turn. Certainly a man to watch out for in the World Championships in Val di Fiemme in February. The Swedes do look to have potentially a very strong squad.
Yeah, great depth in the Swedish team. Torgny Mogren has sort of sees his strong point as his consistency. Seldom gets ill and can therefore do a complete season.
Morgan's in second place, and here's yet another powerful man, perhaps the most powerful man, certainly of the moment, Smirnov. Ulvang, although he virtually allowed Smirnov to go past him, is tucked in behind. He's perhaps a little further back than would be useful.
Well, I think he's obviously not on top form, and he's got Smirnov to taking him along, and he's using Smirnov's technique. You don't get the same drafting effect as you get in cycling here, but he will be benefiting from...
Holds the honour, 10 seconds ahead of Morgan, with Smirnov just a further second back. But that's the situation at halfway. De Zolt and Eriksson pretty close as well. Well, the story of the second behind, and he's overtaken them. So that gives you an idea of how quickly he's been going.
Yeah, he's obviously having a good race, and the other two tucking him behind. They must hang on if they're going to stay in the running. Another drink stop there for the Italians.
Now Eriksson. Casisto has got the lead, but Eriksson, I think, is soon to take that back. Casisto, who was pretty slow, he was only 42nd at the 1.9 check, and then moved up right to 15th place at 8.3 kilometers. And Eriksson, who started much quicker, was 4th at 8.3 kilometers, and he's just taken the lead. Moving nicely, the snow clouds still over Les Saises, and here comes the leader, number 79. Really took that well. As coming up to the finish now, this should be Sivertsen, it is, of Norway, and just under 1 hour and 30 minutes, in fact 1 hour 29 minutes and 34 seconds, and in fact the early lead that he had, he hasn't maintained. He's dropped into second place, but lots of faster men to come, including this man Albertville. Just behind him, number 76, who started a minute and a half ahead of him. So again, an indication of just how quick Albertville is going, and the Italians have obviously planned that in training as their drink station.
That's right, you've got to choose a spot at the top of the hill, so when he's got the drink, he can just use gravity to get him down, and he's not going to lose any time. Going back to Sivertsen's time of 1 hour 30, just indicates how hard the course is. For a classic race, they'd be expecting to do around 1 hour 20 for 30 kilometers, so it must be a hard course.
Maybach, and in second place, so he's got some work to do. And Maybach, well, he was 7th at the first check, then 6th at 8.3 kilometers, and he's really still a little bit off the pace. But here comes De Zolt. That short style, quick prods there of the sticks.
It is incredible that he can keep this going for 30 kilometers.
Well, he was in 4th place at 15 kilometers. And if he hangs on to that, it's 12 World Cup points. Again, there's the Italian drink station. And now waiting for Morgren. And Morgren with Haaland, I think, on his tail there. The two Swedes. Indeed, it's Lars Haaland who's just behind Tony Morgren. And you can see the difference. There's 88, and there's Haaland, who's 85. So, again, Morgren 90 seconds quicker than his teammate.
That's right. Well, he's caught the 90 seconds, but I'd be surprised if he gets much more on him. They'll have skied thousands of kilometers together in training, and Haaland won't let go of him without a struggle. Identical timing there. It's you know, he's using Morgren's technique and fluency to drag him along.
But interesting there, Morgren's acceleration has given him the lead for the first time. Albertville.
A good future ahead of him if he can just keep this steady improvement. Often you get young skiers who come to the top and then drop away very quickly. They've done too much too soon.
So ahead of Haaland, who remember was on the tail of Morgren. And now Smirnov, who was only a second or so off the pace at the 15-kilometer point. Still looking very comfortable. Kurvasniemi just behind him, and Ulvang. So real talent there. It'll be interesting to see these three men as they come round. And if they close on some of the back markers, they're allowed to take the track, aren't they?
Yeah, the rules are that the person being overtaken must get out the way. The overtaking skier will shout a warning, and then it's up to the skier to get out the way. The faster skier has right of way.
Coming up to the check there, Gianfranco Polvara, number 86, and he's had 5 minutes taken out of him by that group of Smirnov and Ulvang and Kurvasniemi up there, and Kurvasniemi improving his position after a desperately slow start. Down they drop again. Yes, indeed, it's not one set of skis, it's several.
Up to 8 to 10 pairs of skis will be prepared, and they'll then test them before the race and choose what they think is going to be the quickest pair throughout the race.
That's a good shot there of the finish climb, as if the 1,134 meters of total climbing wasn't enough. They put a little sting in the tail here at Les Saises. Of course, if you're feeling good and racing well, like Smirnov and Albertville are at the moment, it's not too bad. But if it's hurting, it's pretty painful. And Kusisto knows that he's been 30. Not as fluent as Smirnov.
Well, he's slipping a bit, which is another way of saying that his skis aren't giving him the grip that he needs to get up the hill. It may be fatigue, but it may also be that the wax has worn off the bottom of his skis.
And he's taken the lead here. Smirnov ahead of Morgren. Albertville down into third place, but there's just 20 seconds between the first three. Join us after this break to see who wins the points here at Les Saises. Seven kilometers for the late starters to complete here at Les Saises. But coming into the stadium now, this is Thomas Eriksson of Sweden, and in with a chance of taking the lead off Kusisto.
Yeah, he's had a good run up to now, and he's paced the race well. As we mentioned earlier, his technique is superb, and he's maintained it throughout the race, throughout 30 kilometers of hard racing.
Just to remind you, in the World Cup points, in 6th and 3rd in the first two races. Now double sticking just to keep the pace on. Remember, he's got to climb up, then he swings right-handed, drops down, and then he's got a nasty little climb just up to the finish line, just for good measure. There's the drop down. He's got enough power to even start the incline. Drops down again, and Kusisto's time on the bottom there, 1:27.44. And he's got about 30 or 40 meters to go, and he should easily do that. Looking strong, nice rhythm. Quite a compact man, just 1 meter 76, 68 kilos, so power to weight ratio there.
Yeah, very light man indeed. And that's certainly an advantage on these big hills.
Coming in, and there's the welcome sight of the red line. And now all he can do is recover and wait and see how well he's done.
Interesting, we heard him getting a split from his coach just before the finish line, telling him he had 10 seconds to get in, so we saw the extra burst to reach the finish line.
Well, here's Albertville, who, remember, was leading for 3 parts of this race. He was first at 1.9, first at 8.3, still had the lead at 15 kilometers, but had dropped back to 3rd place. Now, Eriksson, well, he should still be ahead of him. 1:25.44. Be really disappointing if he's lost that much. Looks strong.
Yeah, looking very good, but he did go off very fast, and it's early stage of the season to be burning out of the start line, and he may pay the price for that. He's got about 30 seconds to go from there.
Of course, these men who pick up early season World Cup points, it could be all the difference at the end of the season for those men that are trying to peak later.
That's right, it certainly puts the pressure on the top boys who have left it a little bit later.
So you can see number 70 coming in there, and Albertville's the 3rd man at the back in your picture there, so another indication. He started 79, 4.5 minutes he's taken out of that particular man, as Albertville powers through 1:26.33. Yes, he's going to do it comfortably. He'll certainly be ahead of Eriksson, and I think that's a good run from Albertville.
Yes, it's great to see Marco Albertville back at the top. Made a name for himself.
Started to improve. Maybach, he was only 7th early on, and then was 6th right through 8.3 and 15 kilometers. But now he's accelerated through this final 6 kilometers, and he's really challenging and could even move up to maybe 2nd or 3rd. I just wonder if he's got enough to get ahead of Albertville. He could even do that now. He really has accelerated and is full there of skiing. Short and sharp, and he's head down, and obviously the coaches have been driving him on through this last segment of the race, and that is brilliant. 1:26.33 to come in and take 7.2 seconds ahead of Albertville. And if I look down here at 23 kilometers, he was something like 20 seconds behind him. Coming into view now, it's Walter Kuti, chased by Murillo de Zolt, 84, so Murillo's caught up a couple of minutes. It looks as if he's going to stay in the track, though.
Yeah, fine performance by Murillo, maintaining this high tempo throughout the 30 kilometers, but he doesn't have right of way here, so if he wants to overtake Kuss, he must move over to the left and come past on the other track, but he's not going to do that.
But he's gone into 3rd place. Good effort there by Kuss, the B-team racer for Germany. But Murillo looks satisfied with his day's work.
There's certainly life left in him.
So Maybach leads ahead of Albertville. Here's Tony Mogren, chased by Lars Haaland, who are stuck like glue to him.
Yeah, as we expected, he'd tuck in behind Mogren and stay with him throughout the race. And I think it's an indication that Haaland has upped his work rate rather than Mogren slowing down.
Well, now Mogren trying to take the lead away from his own teammate. There was a 32 seconds difference. Mogren up on Maybach to that degree at 23 kilometers. And he's got to go up the hill, round and down to take the lead. 25 minutes 40 at the moment, and you can see Maybach finished in 26.33. But Maybach was really accelerating throughout the last section of the race. And it looks to me as if he's certainly reduced the deficit, but I think Mogren's going to have enough in hand here.
Yeah, Mogren looking relaxed. He looks so he knows where he's lying. There won't be too much panic on, and I think he's aware of Maybach's finishing time.
Holger Bauduth just finishing for Germany in the foreground there as Mogren comes to the line, and indeed Maybach has reduced the deficit. But Mogren into 1st place by just 16 seconds. Haaland into about 6th or 7th place, just behind him, and that's not a bad effort by him. So Sweden really in contention for the major honours, and here comes Forsberg. So So Forsberg looking to see whether he can force his way up. He's improved steadily throughout the race, although at 23 kilometres he was in 9th place, and the difference between him and Morgan at that time was well over a minute. You can see no chance of getting on the podium. He's chasing Kusisto for 6th place, but it's still all about learning the craft for this man.
Yes, he's very young, but looks as though he's going to have a top 10 finish, and that really is showing Swedish strength in depth.
And goes into 6th place for the moment. Well, here's a little group who've been together for some while. It's Smirnov challenging Morgan for the lead. Behind him is Kövesniemi of Finland, who's improved, and that's as a result of sticking with Smirnov, and Vegard Ulvang is just behind as well. So 3 of the world's most talented Nordic skiers in line.
Yeah, it's great when you get a train like this, reminiscent of Sarajevo Olympics and many other of the longer races, where the guy on form picks up the athletes as they go. But nowadays, as all the top skiers start together in the last group, you tend to get it tends to happen more often.
Smirnov striding up the hill ahead of Kövesniemi, with Øyvind of Norway in 3rd place, and one of the Germans tucked in behind, and he does look powerful. He had about 16 seconds to spare over Mogren at 23 kilometres, as it looks like Jochen Belle to the right as we see them, to his left, trying to make up some places there as Smirnov double sticks towards the line, and he's there by 17 seconds, so he absolutely lost nothing during the last 6 kilometres, and a hard-earned but well-deserved victory. Ulvang, who lost the leading group, coming in there, and he's really struggling to find his best form, and he looks all out. Certainly not at the sort of form that we saw him last year when he was so consistent.
Yeah, he had a great season last year, but it is early days, and here we have Smirnov, obviously satisfied with a great race.
Yes, he was 3rd early on in today's race, then dropped back at 8.3 kilometres to 5th, and then dropped to 8th at 23 kilometres, and he's sort of held that position now. If he looks, yes, he's just got there. He's held on to 8th place, just ahead of Forsberg, so he hasn't made anything in the last 5 or 6 kilometres, but he hasn't lost anything either. 26th or 27th, he's going to be 26th. But Vladimir Smirnov gets his 2nd victory in 3 races. He's 17 seconds clear of Mogren, with Maybach 34 seconds off the pace, but only 47 seconds separating the first 6. Ulvang, though, the defending champion, still disappointing, only 5th place. More points for Henrik Forsberg of Sweden in 9th place, to add to the 3rd he got in Tauplitz in the first race, and Harry